Hey everybody, I'm back. Sorry, I had an issue with my phone. So we're on the bottom of page 171 in chapter 12. What in the world are you doing? Two Bit's voice broke into my thoughts. I looked at him, picking up the glass. He stared at me for a second, then grinned. You little son of a gun, he just said in a relieved voice. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just went on picking up the glass from the bottle and putting it in the trash can. I didn't want anyone to get a flat tire. I tried to write that theme when I got home. I really did, mostly because Derry told me to, or else. I thought about writing about Dad, but I couldn't. It's going to be a long time before I can even think about my parents. A long time. I tried writing about Soda's horse, Mickey Mouse, but I couldn't get it right. It always came out sounding corny. So I started writing names across the paper. Daryl Cheyenne Curtis, Soda Patrick Curtis, Ponyboy Michael Curtis. Then I drew horses all over it. That was going to get a good grade, like all get out. Guys, stop for a minute here. Why do you think Ponyboy can't seem to get it together? Again, this goes back to inner story. We're thinking about and we're gisting for his internal conflict. What is he struggling with? What's the problem? And then what characteristics or personality traits is S.E. Hinton revealing as the story continues to unfold? Hey, did the mail come in yet? Soda slammed the door and yelled for the mail, just the way he does every day when he comes home from work. I was in the bedroom, but I knew he would throw his jacket toward the couch and miss it, take off his shoes, and go into the kitchen for a glass of chocolate milk, because that's what he does every day of his life. He also runs around in his stocking feet. He doesn't like shoes. Then he did a funny thing. He came in and flopped down on the bed and started smoking a cigarette. He hardly ever smokes except when something is really bugging him or when he tries to look tough. And he doesn't have to impress us. We know he's tough. So I figured something was bothering him. How was work? Okay. Something wrong? He shook his head. I shrugged and went back to drawing horses. Soda cooked dinner that night and everything came out right. That was unusual because he's always trying something different. One time he made green pancakes. Green! I can tell you one thing. If you got a brother like Soda Pop, you're never bored. All through supper, Soda was quiet and he didn't eat much. That was really unusual. Most of the time, you can't shut him up or fill him up. Derry didn't seem to notice, so I didn't say anything. Okay, guys, right here, we're having a contrast and contradiction moment for Soda. What's happening with Soda? Do we know? Let's find out. Then after supper, me and Derry got into a fuss about the fourth one we'd had that week. This one started because I hadn't done anything on that theme and I wanted to go for a ride. It used to be that I'd just stand there and let Derry yell at me, but lately I'd been yelling right back. Contrast and contradiction, guys, make sure you have them. What's the sweat about my schoolwork? I finally shouted. I'll have to get a job as soon as I get out of school anyway. Look at Soda. He's doing okay and he dropped out. You can just lay off. You're not going to drop out. Listen, with your brains and grades, you could get a scholarship and we could put you through college. But schoolwork's not the point. You're living in a vacuum, Pony, and you're going to have to cut it out. Johnny and Dallas were our buddies too. But you don't just stop living because you lose someone. I thought you knew that by now. You don't quit. And anytime you don't like the way I'm running things, you can get out. Wow, it's getting hot. Ooh, I got to take a sip of my cup of knowledge for that. Guys, I think I'll put a bonus question on Tuesday's quiz. What's the symbol on Miss Mac's cup of knowledge? Okay, bonus question. I went tight and cold. We never talked about Dallas or Johnny. You'd like that, wouldn't you? You'd like me to just get out. Well, it's not that easy, is it, Soda? But when I looked at Soda, I stopped. His face was white, And when he looked at me, his eyes were wide with a pained expression. I suddenly remembered Curly Shepherd's face when he slipped off the telephone pole and broke his arm. Don't. Oh, you guys, why can't you? He jumped up suddenly and bolted out the door. Derry and I were struck dumb. Derry picked up the envelope that Soda had dropped. It's the letter he wrote Sandy, Derry said without expression. Returned unopened. Boom shakalaka. Now we see what Soda's problem is. Ooh, I wonder what's in that letter. Let's find out. So that's what's been bugging Soda all afternoon. And I hadn't even bothered to find out. And while I was thinking about it, I realized that I never had paid much attention to Soda's problems. Stop right there. Interesting characteristic about Pony. What is S.E. Hinton trying to tell us about Ponyboy through that declaration that he just made? Okay? Derry and I just took it for granted that he didn't have any problems. When Sandy went to Florida, it wasn't Soda. When Sandy went to Florida, it wasn't Soda, Ponyboy. He told me he loved her, but I guess she didn't love him like he thought she did because it wasn't him. You don't have to draw me a picture, I said. He wanted to marry her anyway, but she just left. Derry was looking at me with puzzled expression. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think he'd tell Steve or Two-Bit, but I thought he told you everything. Maybe he tried, I said. How many times has Soda started to tell me something only to find I was daydreaming or stuck in a book? He would always listen to me no matter what I was doing. He cried every night that week you were gone, Derry said slowly. Both you and Sandy in the same week. He put the envelope down. Come on, let's go after him. Wow, this is a huge revelation. This should be in neon lights. We could write a whole book about this part right here. What is happening? What are we learning about Soda? What are we learning about Derry? What are we learning about their relationship? What are we learning about Pony and Soda? What are we learning about their relationship? And what is S.E. Hinton telling us or revealing to us about Ponyboy's personality or his character? Really cool. Pages 174 and 175 should have all kinds of gists. Again, I want to go back to that word characterization because I think you're going to see it again. Characterization is that technique or that author's craft of creating a character, developing a character, giving a character personality. And right here, S.E. Hinton does a masterful job of revealing certain things about Ponyboy through this interaction with Derry and through this conversation with Derry as they talk about Soda's heartbreak. But we're also learning things about Soda as well that we didn't know. So make sure that you have those pages marked up and that your gists are tight. Come on back with me, guys, to page 175. Right around the third paragraph, let's go after him, the second paragraph. We chased him clear to the park. We were gaining on him, but he had about a block start. Circle around and cut him off, Derry ordered. Even out of condition, I was the best runner. I'll stay right behind him. I headed through the trees and cut him off halfway across the park. He veered off to the right, but I caught him in a flying tackle before he'd gone more than a couple of steps. It knocked the wind out of both of us. We lay there gasping for a minute or two, and then Soda sat up and brushed the grass off his shirt. You should have gone out for football instead of track. Where did you think you were going? I lay flat on my back and looked at him. Derry came up and dropped down beside us. Soda shrugged. I don't know. It's just, I can't stand to hear y'all fight. Sometimes I have to just get out, or it's like I'm the middleman in a tug of war and I'm being split in half. You dig? Okay, really interesting that we're learning some things about Soda in this moment. Why do you think the author is giving us this information about Soda at this point in time, at the end of the book in chapter 12? Give me a gist for that. Derry gave me a startled look. Neither of us had realized what it was doing to Soda to hear us fight. I was sick with cold and shame. What he said was the truth. Derry and I did play tug of war with him, with never a thought to how much it was hurting him. Soda was fiddling with some dead grass. I mean, I can't take sides. It'd be a lot easier if I could, but I see both sides. Derry yells too much and tries too hard and takes everything too serious. And Ponyboy, you don't think enough. You don't realize all Derry's giving up to give you a chance he missed out on. He could have stuck you in a home somewhere and worked his way through college. Ponyboy, I'm telling you the truth. I dropped out because I'm dumb. I really did try in school, but you saw my grades. Look, I'm happy working in a gas station with cars. You'd never be happy doing something like that. And Derry, you ought to try to understand him more and quit bugging him about every little mistake he makes. He feels things differently than you do. He gave us a pleading look. Golly, you two, it's bad enough having to listen to it, but when you start trying to get me to take sides, tears welled up in his eyes. We're all we've got left. We ought to be able to stick together against everything. If we don't have each other, we don't have anything. If we don't have each other, we don't have anything. Ooh, I said that twice. Wonder why. If you don't have anything, you end up like Dallas. I don't mean dead either. I mean like he was before, and that's worse than dead. Please, he wiped his eyes on his arms. Don't fight anymore. Okay, guys, this is beautiful. S.E. Hinton, this is probably, in my mind, one of the best passages in her book. She does a fantastic job through Soda's words, revealing things about Ponyboy, about Derry, and about himself. Really beautifully done. That piece there should be annotated. I'm so excited. I'm going to take a sip out of my cup of knowledge. Remember, extra credit points if you can tell me the symbol that's on my cup of knowledge on your quiz on Tuesday. Let's get back, guys. I'm at the bottom of page 176. Join me, won't you? Derry looked real worried. I suddenly realized, aha moment, that Derry was only 20. That he wasn't so much older that he couldn't feel scared or hurt and as lost as the rest of us. I saw that I had expected Derry to do all the understanding without trying to understand him, and he had given up a lot for Soda and me. Sure, little buddy, Derry said softly. We're not going to fight anymore. Hey, Pony, Soda gave me a tearful grin. Don't you start crying too. One bald baby in the family is enough. I'm not crying, I said. Maybe I was. I don't remember. Soda gave me a playful punch on the shoulder. No more fights, okay, Ponyboy? Derry said. Okay, I said, and I meant it. Derry and I would probably still have misunderstandings. We were too different not to, but no more fights. Okay, right there, interesting revelation about the contrast between Derry and Ponyboy's perfect personalities. We couldn't do anything to hurt Soda. Soda Pop would always be the middleman, but that didn't mean he had to keep getting pulled apart. Instead of Derry and me pulling me apart, he'd be pulling us together. Now, guys, make a connection right there. How many of you are in the middle between a sister and a brother, or between two brothers, or between two sisters? Can you make a connection right here to what Ponyboy is saying about how, or more importantly, what Soda is saying about being the middle child? Who can relate? And if you can relate to that, if you're a middle child, myself, I'm an older child, so I don't know what this feels like. But for those of you who are in the middle, what does that feel like? Can you make a connection to the text at this point and connect it to your real life? That's the beauty of reading and understanding, guys. I can 100% connect to Derry, having all the responsibility, having all the expectations of his parents, even though his parents are no longer living. I know exactly what that feels like because I'm an older child. I'm the oldest of 4. So make a connection there. There's plenty of space right up here at the top to kind of write about which one of these brothers, like even better, which one of these brothers can you relate to? Which one of these brothers is in the same position in the family that you are in terms of order, who was born first, second, third, and so on. Make that connection right there. I'm going to be looking for that, and I'm going to ask some folks to share out in class. So middle of page 177, Well, Soda said, I'm cold. How about going home? Race you, I challenged, leaping up. It was real nice. It was a real nice night for a race. The air was clear and cold and so clean it almost sparkled. Guys, this is fantastic. Where's my highlighter? I'm going to highlight this because I'm really big on setting. Setting is probably one of my favorite parts of fiction. And I love when authors make these really clear statements about setting. So I'm highlighting here and I'm just noting that as a literary element, because if I was doing the graffiti project, the literary element that I would probably choose would be setting. In fact, I think maybe I will do one. Let's read that again. It's so beautiful. The air was clear and cold and so clean it almost sparkled. The moon wasn't out, but the stars lit up everything. It was quiet except for the sound of our feet on the cement and the dry scraping sound of leaves blowing across the street. It was a real nice night, I guess, and I was still out of shape because we all three tied. No, I guess we all just wanted to stay together. Really, really beautiful job. What she's saying is not complicated. It's pretty simple, but you can definitely see an image here in New York of those cold, clear nights when the moon is out and it's fall and the brown leaves are all over the ground and you're walking to the train or you're coming home in the evening after being out with your parents or friends, and the way that the leaves crackle under your feet. Definitely can make a connection here. Really beautiful. Thumbs up. Shout out to Essie Hinton for her beautiful work on page 177 with setting. Let's continue. Bottom of 177. I still didn't want to do my homework that night, though I hunted around for a book to read. But I'd already read everything in the house about 50 million times, even Derry's copy of The Carpetbaggers, though he told me I wasn't old enough to read it. I thought so too after I finished it. Finally, I picked up Gone with the Wind and looked at it for a long time. And remember, Gone with the Wind was the book that Johnny bought him when they were in Windricksville at the church. I knew Johnny was dead. I had known it all the time, even while I was sick and pretending he wasn't. It was Johnny, not me, who had killed Bob. I knew that too. Okay, guys, again, what is his inner conflict? We see several inner conflicts coming up for Ponyboy here. And I just wonder who is going to be able to name. So I've seen at least 3 internal conflicts. Obviously, there's a major one, but I wonder who in this class can come up with all 3 of those major conflicts, those inner conflicts that Ponyboy is experiencing in chapter 12. Let's continue. I'm going to just read that again for emphasis. I knew Johnny was dead. I had known it all the time, even while I was sick and pretending he wasn't. It was Johnny, not me, who had killed Bob. I knew that too. I had just thought that maybe if I played like Donnie wasn't dead, it wouldn't hurt so much. The way Two-Bit, after the police had taken Dally's body away, had griped because he had lost his switchblade when they had searched Dallas. Is that all that's bothering you, that switchblade? A red-eyed Steve had snapped at him. No, Two-Bit had said with a quivering sigh, but that's what I'm wishing was all that was bothering me. Beautiful, beautiful memory moment there, guys. You better have that annotated. I'm doing it. That's a memory moment. Why do you think Hinton brings up that particular memory for Ponyboy at that particular time? Okay, you should have a gist there which says why. I'm going to put my reason here. Okay. And what theme do you think that would lead to? All right, let's go. Top of page 178. But it still hurt anyway. Oops, sorry about that, guys. My phone fell off the stand. Oh my God. That's crazy. Just for no reason. And I'm still recording. I'm a professional. You keep going. All right. Let's go. You know a guy a long time, and I mean really know him. You don't get used to the idea that he's dead just overnight. Johnny was something more than a buddy to all of us. I guess he had listened to more beeps and more problems from more people than any of us. A guy that'll really listen to you, listen and care about what you're saying is something rare. And I couldn't forget him telling me that I hadn't done enough, hadn't been out of our neighborhood all his life. And then it was too late. I took a deep breath and opened the book. A slip of paper fell out on the floor and I picked it up. Okay, guys. I'm tearing up. This is beautiful. We're learning so much about who this character is. We're learning a lot about Ponyboy, and you want to make sure that you have that. We also are really clear about the major inner conflict that he had because he just told us. So make sure that you have that annotated and gisted. Let's go. The note fell out. Ponyboy, I asked the nurse to give you this book so you could finish it. It was Johnny's handwriting. I went on reading, almost hearing Johnny's quiet voice. The doctor came in a while ago, but I knew anyway. I kept getting tireder and tireder. Listen, I don't mind dying now. It's worth it. It's worth saving those kids. Their lives are worth more than mine. They have more to live for. Some of their parents came by to thank me, and I knew it was worth it. Tell Dally it's worth it. I'm just going to miss you guys. I've been thinking about it, and that poem, and that guy that wrote it, he meant you're gold when you're a kid. Okay, I'm getting so emotional. But this is going back to nothing gold can stay. Remember, nature's first green is gold. Its hardest hue to hold. Remember that, guys? Here is Johnny revealing to us what he felt that poem meant for him and for Ponyboy. You should have this this is powerful. Let me go back. Woo! Yes. I've been thinking about it. And that poem, that guy that wrote it, he meant you're gold when you're a kid, like green. When you're a kid, everything's new. Dawn. It's just when you get used to everything that it's day. So when you're a kid, it's dawn. Dawn is in the morning when the sun first comes up. That's the beginning of each day. And what Johnny is doing here, he's relating to the beginning. He's relating in the poem, dawn, or the beginning of each day, of where Ponyboy is and where he was right now in their youth. That's the beginning of their lives. When you're a kid, everything's new, or like the dawn. It's just when you get used to everything that it's day. Like the way you dig sunsets, Pony. That's gold. Keep that way. It's a good way to be. I want you to tell Dally to look at one. He'll probably think you're crazy, but ask for me. Now, when Johnny is writing this, he has no idea what Dally has done, right, in order to get himself killed. So he's writing this as if Dally is still alive. I don't think he's ever really seen a sunset. And don't be so bugged over being a greaser. You still have a lot of time to make yourself be what you want. There's still lots of good in the world. Tell Dally. I don't think he knows. Your buddy, Johnny. Tell Dally. It was too late to tell Dally. Would he have listened? I doubted it. Suddenly, it wasn't only a personal thing to me. I could picture hundreds and hundreds of boys living on the wrong sides of cities. Boys with black eyes who jumped at their own shadows. Hundreds of boys who maybe watched sunsets and looked at stars and ached for something better. I could see boys going down under streetlights because they were mean and tough and hated the world. And it was too late to tell them that there was still good in it. Guys, I'm going to just stop right there because this is really powerful. And it really makes me think about what's happening now to a lot of our Black and Latino boys. It makes me think about our boys that are getting gunned down in the streets every single day. And so this is the connection that I'm making to this text. And I want you to just stop for a minute and just kind of take this in and think about what S.E. Hinton is saying. And think about what S.E. Hinton would think and feel about what is happening in our communities to our youth of color today. Now, these kids were white, but they had some similarities to some of the things that are going on today in that they were considered kids from the wrong side of the tracks, kids that were good for nothing, who would do nothing and be nothing. And I just wonder what S.E. Hinton would say, and she's still alive. I wonder what she would say about the state of Black and Latino communities in urban areas across the country and the things that are happening to our youth. Really, really powerful right here, and just brings to my head and to my heart a lot of things that are happening in our communities right now, even as we speak. So I'm going to go back a little bit to what Pony is saying. He says, it was too vast a problem to just be a personal thing. There should be some help. Someone should tell them before it's too late. Someone should tell their side of the story. And maybe people would understand then and wouldn't be so quick to judge a boy by the amount of hair oil he wore. I could almost see that line saying that the world shouldn't judge a boy by the color of his skin, or by the language he speaks, or the music he listens to, or the clothes or the sneakers that he wears. It was important to me. I picked up the phone book and called my English teacher. Mr. Syme, this is Ponyboy. That theme, how long can it be? Why, not less than 5 pages. He sounded a little surprised. I'd forgotten it was late at night. Can it be longer? Certainly, Ponyboy, as long as you want it. Thanks, I said and hung up. Okay, again, S.E. Hinton brings this conversation to us. What kind of person is this teacher? What kind of person is this Ponyboy, based on this teacher taking his call late at night and not being angry, but just giving him the support and the love that he needs by encouraging him to do his thing? Beautiful. Just the kind of teacher that I want to be. Thanks, I said and hung up. I sat down and picked up my pen and thought for a minute, remembering a handsome, dark boy with a reckless grin and a hot temper. I thought a tough, tow-headed boy with a cigarette in his mouth and a bitter grin on his hard face. Remembering, and this time it didn't hurt. A quiet, defeated-looking 60-year-old whose hair needed cutting badly and who had black eyes with a frightened expression to them. 1 week had taken all 3 of them, and I decided I could tell people, beginning with my English teacher. I wondered for a long time how to start that theme, how to start writing about something that was important to me. And I finally began like this. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only 2 things on my mind: Paul Newman and a ride home. Beautiful. Oh my God, guys, this was awesome. I want you to go back through chapter 12. I want you to look at your gist. Make sure that you've annotated for Ponyboy's inner story. What is he struggling with in chapter 12? There's a couple of things that are going on, a couple of conflicts that are emerging in chapter 12. And then finally, your exit ticket is going to ask you, how does Ponyboy resolve that inner conflict? So you want to first have gisted for those moments where you see that inner conflict emerge. And then you want to be able to tell how he resolves that inner conflict. Also, there were some really, really cool moments where S.E. Hinton gave us all kinds of information. Her characterization is tight in this chapter, guys. And we learn a lot of things about Johnny. We learn a lot of things about Derry and Dally and Ponyboy and Soda. And I think it's beautifully done. So make sure you have those gists. I will see you guys on Monday. I'm going to be looking for strong gist for chapter 12. I have something really cool planned for you guys on Monday that involves Miss White. That's all I'm going to say. Have a great Saturday afternoon. See you guys Monday. Peace. I'm out.